It's 2024, and we have a BioWare game coming out. Dragon Age: The Veilguard is going to be released on October 31st of 2024, and I have some thoughts about it. You're going to have plenty of channels looking at every detail, every character that shows up, every story, hint, every callback to previous games. I'm not going to do that. I don't know anything about Dragon Age. Basically nothing other than some wiki entries I've read. So, what I want to talk about is my impressions of this trailer, what I think it's going to mean for the reception of the game and what that's going to be, anyways, as well as what I think this means for BioWare and for the next Mass Effect game. So, let's get into it. Where I want to start is this trailer. I think a trailer like this was probably what they should have shown from the first place. It's still just mostly a cinematic trailer, even though it is all gameplay, just shot with convenient angles and so on. But I think a trailer like this would have probably been better than that real stylized one they opened up with at the Xbox showcase. I didn't mind that trailer, but a lot of people hated it, especially the OG fans and people who were already in the fandom, because it hinted to a stylization change they didn't like, the Fortnitification of Dragon Age. As time has gone on, we've seen more gameplay, we've seen more. Most of those fears seem to be quelled, though there are still a significant number of people who seem to be not completely sold on like the style change and the like slightly Disneyfication of the visuals of the game and stuff. But that doesn't seem like people's biggest concern at this point. But this trailer, I think, was really good. It seems like most people have received it really well. It seems like people are really excited about multiple things in this trailer. But because I'm ignorant to the history of the game and the lore and the characters, I'm kind of just like, checking other people's comments and trying to figure out why people are excited or interested about certain parts. Like I said before, lots of great videos by people like Call It Elizabeth and others who I'm sure are going to cover that stuff a lot. But for me, as a kind of outsider, someone who's just getting into the fandom of this game, this was really exciting. Nev, it seems like she's going to be my girl for sure in this game. But regardless of that, I felt like they gave everyone their attention and kind of gave all of the companions maybe a little bit more humanity or personalization that we haven't gotten quite yet from any of the previous info that's come out. So this trailer, really good. It didn't show us gameplay, things like that. I think that's fine. In the upcoming days and weeks, they specifically have some like end game gameplay they want to show. The trailer that they showed, the gameplay they showed previously, was like literally beginning of the game stuff where nothing's unlocked. People have been kind of unsatisfied with that. So I think that this kind of late game gameplay that's coming is going to be really good, and it's going to show off all of the stuff they've been talking about. There's been so much chatter about how at the end of the game there's so much combos and things you can do between everyone's skills and talents. We need to see that. I think that's going to get a lot of people really excited, and including myself. So the way I'm feeling about this game is interesting. I think that so far, if you kind of pay attention to the general chatter around this game, I think there's a general excitement. I think there's people who are being pretty, I think the average opinion is neutral to positive, and you've got a decent number of people who seem legitimately excited. I've seen very few people who seem like completely like hyper pessimistic or anything about it, who don't come at everything that way. There's obviously going to be the clickbaiters and the toxic YouTubers and all of that, and the people who follow them who already hate this game. It's going to be a 3 out of 10 for them, no matter how it comes out, no matter how it plays. You kind of have to get through that static because those people are set. Similar to how there's going to be some people who this is a 10 out of 10 game, no matter how it is. Like I appreciate those people more because they're coming at it with an optimistic point of view. But it's similar in both ways where you kind of have to ignore that, group of people and look at the more general reaction. And I still think it's extremely good. I'm to the point where I believe this game's almost certainly going to get like a mid 70s to high 70s Metacritic score at like the minimum. And if it does some stuff really well, and if it even, if it wraps up some things, if it ends extremely well, people care about that in these story games. I really do believe it has potential to be a pretty significant game in a year that's got some pretty good games coming out. There's been so much chatter about this game over the years. Understandably, it's had a really long dev cycle. It sounds like it was rebooted multiple times. It may have looked very different at different points in its development. And it's coming out in a time where BioWare hasn't had a big AAA release since Anthem. And then shortly before that, Mass Effect Andromeda. It's been 10 years since the last Dragon Age. And while that game got a lot of praise, some of the hindsight on it isn't as positive. I really believe that this is kind of an opportunity for new BioWare to kind of show their stuff. I say that because you see everyone talk about it, that all of the veterans from BioWare are gone, and Casey Hudson and stuff like that, Mac Walters now. Even though there's still a lot of people there, there's still that general feeling in the gaming community that this isn't the same BioWare that made the Mass Effect trilogy and the earlier Dragon Age games. And to a point, that's true. But that doesn't have to be the negative thing that it tends to be talked about as. I don't know if that Mass Effect trilogy team could make a game that would be successful today. There's a lot of strength and excitement that you can garner from where this game is going to be coming from with new developers. There's probably a bunch of younger developers at BioWare right now that wanted to be game developers because of the Mass Effect trilogy, because of the old Dragon Age games that they played as, young kids, teenagers, and so on. And when you bring that kind of passion and excitement into a studio like that maybe kind of needed some fresh takes and some new blood to also complement the veterans who are still there, whether you believe it or not, I think that leads to a point where we could have this game that hopefully will kind of reignite the excitement for BioWare. Like I said, if this can get into that high 70s, low 80s in Metacritic, that's going to be really good. And it's even going to get some benefit of the doubt from a decent number of reviewers who, if they just see like, oh, like BioWare's back, they're doing the thing, this is great. And they're doing it in a way that feels, updated and modern as well. I really believe the reception of this can be great. I don't believe in the whole idea of this being BioWare's last chance. I truly do think that the next Mass Effect has more of that weight. I truly believe that if EA is smart, and that's left to be decided, this game should be expected to hopefully break even. This has probably been one of the most expensive games ever made, simply because it's a AAA game. It's an EA studio. It's BioWare. It's using all this tech. I'm sure they've upgraded a lot of things, and it's been in development for a long time. This has probably been a very expensive game to make, and I certainly hope, we can all be hopeful that EA is going to approach this in a way of, this probably isn't going to be their most profitable game ever made. But if it can come out and reestablish the excitement and the confidence in BioWare, that's probably worth more than being hyper profitable. Leading into kind of my final point and what this makes me feel about the next Mass Effect. This whole time, especially in this last month or two, all I can think about is how excited I am to see this same hype cycle for the next Mass Effect, for them to drop info, for them to give us, hints and teases and trailers and all of that. I know that there's been chatter from people like Jeff Grubb and stuff that kind of assume the Mass Effect development length and so on is going to be the same as this game, but that doesn't make sense. If anything, I'm expecting the Mass Effect development to probably be relatively truncated because of the lessons learned from Dragon Age. I suspect that they aren't going to reboot what the game is multiple times. I suspect they aren't going to have a worldwide pandemic where they have to completely alter the way that they make games while they're developing the Mass Effect game. I really don't think that that's going to be an issue. If anything, they may finally get to market and talk about a game that's in development the way they really want to, but they weren't really able to with Dragon Age. And so I'm very hopeful. The things that we've seen so far make me confident that they've learned things from their past, that BioWare is trying to, update the way they do things. And we're going to see that with Dragon Age, and we're really going to see it with Mass Effect. There's a whole nother video to be made, especially after the Veilguard comes out, to kind of talk about what I think the next Mass Effect may look like based on the things they're doing in the Veilguard. That'll come a different day. We're not going to get into that yet because we don't really know. Long story short, I'm really excited for Dragon Age the Veilguard for reasons other than when they finish it, they'll be moving on to Mass Effect. I'm obviously excited about that. But at this point, I'm genuinely excited for the Veilguard as well. I'm ready to get into this world and check it out and see what BioWare looks like in 2024. And I really, really hope it's going to be a positive thing. And I think it will be. So that's kind of what I have for this one. Let me know how you're feeling about all of these things down in the comments. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you really want to support what I do, subscribe to the channel if you want more Dragon Age and BioWare Mass Effect gaming news in general. And if you really want to support, you can become a YouTube member for just a couple bucks. You get videos like this early. You get a cool little icon beside your name when you comment, as well as some other perks. Check out all of my other content and ways to support what I do at the link in the description of the video. That's all I have for this one. So until next time.